Hey, Carl, now that Pulsar Security is going to be sponsoring the podcast directly, you want to hear the ad copy that we came up with?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, get ready for this. In a world full of security challenges.
No. We can't say in a world.
Come on, that sounds perfect.
You think we should?
It's like an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie
You
cliche.
think we should leave it open for services on Mars? Is that what you're saying? I mean,
you can't.
Okay.
All right, just go ahead and read the rest of it.
Can I say in a world or no?
Go for it. I don't care.
In a world full of security challenges, trust is everything.
Well, that's true.
At Pulsar Security, we are enabling organizations to thrive safely in an ever-changing digital world.
Yeah.
Our experts conduct cutting-edge cybersecurity services, ensuring your business stays one step ahead of threats.
All good.
Experience peace of mind as we deliver robust solutions tailored to your needs. Your security is our priority. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Choose Pulsar Security for a safer tomorrow. Visit us at pulsarsecurity.com. Empower your digital journey with confidence. Security starts here.
Okay. I like everything but
Okay.
in a world.
It worked for Batman.
I do like to
This
dress
is
dark and in
serious.
hoodies.
Now, this is serious stuff here, man. You're talking about keeping companies safe.
Yeah, we are talking about
Yeah,
that.
like
don't wanna-
cyber superheroes. Come on, Carl.
Conjure up images of the predator, you know?
Well, we should have done this from the start. So now we are officially
All right.
sponsoring Security This Week by Pulsar Security.
Well, good luck with your ad.
Thanks.
You know what the old joke about the FBI used to be?
What's that?
Used to be, hey, if you ever forget your password, just call the FBI. They probably have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think the FBI is replaced with Microsoft.
Oh.
Recall.
Hey, guys, what's up? Patrick, Dwayne.
Hey, how you doing, Carl?
Hey, Carl, how are things?
I'm in Seattle. Just finished Build,
Nice.
Microsoft Build. I have something to say about that at the end of the show. But,
Cool.
Love it.
guess what the weather is?
Not sunny.
Actually, it's pretty sunny right now, but it's been mostly cloudy with spotty rain. I mean, this is Seattle. So
Classics.
the classics. All right, we have quite a few things to talk about today. So let's start with the first story. Google patches yet another actively exploited Chrome 0-day vulnerability.
Yeah. And I think it's always good. It's funny. There are some applications we talk about, like WordPress, where we're like, oh, it's in the news again. Oh, it's in the news again. Some browsers really do touch the seediest parts of the internet.
Yeah.
And without gloves.
So it's good that companies like Google are making sure it's clean to use.
Yeah.
It's a weird analogy, but yes. So there's another 0-day. This one has to do with type confusion. So in non-strongly typed languages, think things like Python, JavaScript, that sort of stuff. You can do a test on something that's, for example, a Boolean, right? Booleans are only supposed to be true and false.
Right.
However, if I were to test a number that was set to 3 as a Boolean, it would come back as true because the value is greater than 0. Right. So, and that's where you can get into these weird type confusion issues. And there's one here, type confusion issue. So if you are running Chrome, and we have said this many, many times, if in the upper right-hand corner it says go update, you should always go update. And if you're like my wife and you have a bazillion tabs open, I promise they will reopen when the tab comes up.
All you really have to do is close the browser and let it, hit that
Let it
update
do its
button.
thing.
Just closes the browser and reopens it.
Yep, it'll open it up.
Do you guys shut down your computers every night?
Every night.
I do too.
No.
I like to shut down. I like to make Dwayne start over every morning.
Shut it down.
Wow, Patrick. Now I know why it's so hard to break in.
That's why I started shutting down my computer.
He's only got 24 hours, but he's wiry.
All right, so there's not much more to say about this one.
No, not really.
No.
Chrome and
Yeah,
be
update
happy.
Chrome.
Well, it's nice for people to learn what a type confusion vulnerability is.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we've talked about that before.
Oh, yeah.
And just now.
Just now.
And now for something less geeky, amateur radio.
Ooh.
Okay.
Radios.
So are we talking about this OREG story?
That's later, I thought.
0 reg Dev.
Oh.
Do you want to do that now?
What's the next story?
Amateur Radio Relay League cyber attack takes logbook of the world offline.
Whoa.
You're big into amateur radio.
I am. I do have my my extra license, which is
super
the high end license. Right. I have a 30-foot antenna up outside, and I can put out 500 watts of power out of that antenna, and talk to New Zealand.
So are you afraid that the internet is going to go down for good and you won't be able to contact anybody, and therefore the ham radio is like the only thing?
The ham radio still fascinates me to imagine if you distill it down to its basic principles. And for you kids, think walkie-talkie, but really, really powerful, right?
Yeah.
So powerful that when you key up the mic and talk, you bounce your signal literally off of the ionosphere, and it comes back down and hits somebody else thousands, sometimes 10,000 miles away.
Yeah.
It can get all the way around the world.
It can go not only all the way around the world, but you can beam it to the moon and have it come back from the moon and have somebody talk to you on the other side of the horizon. So there's all sorts of really kind of neat tech geeky things with radios. There's also computer networks. You can hook up computers over the amateur radio network. There's, different signals reports. There's all sorts of cool stuff. But that being said, when a ham or an amateur radio operator contacts another operator, so if I were to sit here on my mic and key up and I talk to an operator in Italy, which I have, you just talk to some guy in Italy and say, hey, how are things?
CQ.
Yeah. CQ, DE. And that's actually, those are the letters when we're using Morse code. That we will use CQ, DE, and then your call sign.
By the way, I learned that you don't even need a Morse code license anymore when you're...
You don't.
Yeah. That used to be level 1.
Yeah, and it's even... the barrier to entry's gotten lower there because a lot of the software will do back and forth Morse code for you. So you can just type and hit enter, and it will do automatic key spacing and that sort of stuff.
Huh. These kids are so lazy nowadays.
I know, right? So when you contact somebody in Italy, let's say we're just chatting, we're chewing the rag, as they say, just talking and, whatever. After that, you have what's called the QSO, which is shorthand for I communicated with this particular person. So I communicate with Carl. I will put it in my logbook. Now, it used to be literally a physical logbook. And then I would remember to send him a card, a QSO card. So he would have this card that says you spoke to Dwayne in New Hampshire. And anyway, I would design this card and that sort of stuff. And in the digital world, not a lot of people send those cards anymore. They just log it with the logbook of the world, which is an app for logging them back and forth, and it confirms communications.
Yeah.
And that, unfortunately, was disrupted and shut down. Not a lot of detail here as to whether it was some sort of massive attack, or whether this was like a ransomware or something along those lines. So they did bring the service back up, but there's not a lot of information released on this. I think the big problem is, depending on what happened, a lot of the data associated with an amateur radio operator are things like their home address, their name. My amateur radio call sign is AC1NV, but and you could look it up right now in the FCC's database, and you could see all sorts of information about me just publicly, like my mailing address and all that other stuff.
Yeah,
used to be the FRN number, which is the number of my licensed number with the FCC, was my social security number.
Yeah.
So that's still out there as well. So there's all sorts of crazy stuff people could pull if they were pulling all this information. So interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody we talk to, I would love it actually if anybody on this podcast, listening to this podcast, does amateur radio, by all means, either hit me up in X or on my QRZ page or something like that. I would be surprised.
You know what I call X now?
What's that?
X Twitter.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, it's not wrong.
Nope.
And it has a double meaning.
Yeah, I love it.
X Twitter.
Love it.
We should all start calling it X Twitter. All right. So, so the hackers can reach well beyond the internet into other media like ham radio.
Into radios. Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Veeam?
Supply chain attacks. No. Veeam.
Oh, you want us to talk about the AI stuff?
I don't know if the AI gets mad.
Well, we have Retros Register, 6K Plus, Veeam, Critical Veeam.
Yeah, let's do that one. All right.
Which one? Critical
Veeam warning of critical backup enterprise manager auth bypass bug. So Veeam warned customers today that to patch a critical security vulnerability allowing unauthorized attackers to sign into any account via the Veeam Backup Enterprise Manager, which is the VBEM.
I think you just answered my question. What the heck is Veeam?
So Veeam's backup, right?
Yeah.
And most people go, okay, who cares, right? So you can log in and see my backups. Whoop-de-doo.
Wasn't their claim to fame when they first came online? It was all about VM backups.
Correct. Yeah. And you can now do virtual or physical machines, but the interesting thing about backups is twofold. One, everybody's worried about ransomware. Well, what protects you from ransomware? Your backups. So if a piece of ransomware uses this exploit, they will bypass your Veeam login and they will then delete everything.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have no backups. That's not good.
Let me guess number 2, Dwayne. Is it that the accounts that do backup generally have full privilege?
Yes, and it continues even further. So far, I'd say more than a dozen times when pen testing a customer, we have got access to their backup solution, whether it's Veeam or whatever, pulled down the entire domain controller.
Wow.
To our local labs and restored it. And now we can just pull all of the accounts and hashes because there's no protections, right? So you got to realize the data you're backing up is obviously sensitive and important because you're backing it up. So needless to say, if you are running the Veeam Backup Enterprise Manager, you'll want to make sure that you follow the link we send you because as of this printing, I don't think there was an actual patch for this. They say just shut off the web interface for now. And there's even another CVE mentioned in here that was high from March, earlier this year. So Veeam's been hit a couple times this year. You want to be careful.
So that story was in Bleeping Computer.
Mm-hmm.
There's another story in Hacker News. Is it the same story?
It is. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. We'll just put both links in there.
Can we advise people right now to inventory everything that's connected to the internet and say why and like realistically answer, does this really need to be on the internet? Do we really need this to be, exposed? Because that's what it is. It's exposed.
Yeah.
It makes it available for the bad guys to do things. So I would say everybody should go through and justify. The next thing they should do is make sure their backups are as bulletproof and with an offline copy and practicing procedures to implement the recovery, because without recovery, you don't really have backup. This is the stuff that we shouldn't be talking about anymore. It should just be, well, yeah, of course. But we also shouldn't be talking about SQL injection anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as everybody knows, we talk about it almost every week. Yeah.
Gift that keeps on giving.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, this seems like a good place to take a break. So we'll be right back after these very important messages. Stay tuned. And we're back. You're listening to Security This Week. I'm Carl Franklin. That's Patrick Hines and Dwayne LaFlotte. I'm at Build in Seattle, and I learned a few things here that, we'll talk about that in a minute. But first, we have a couple more stories. Who wants the next one?
Ooh, I'll take it. Unless
Okay.
Patrick wants it. Do you want it, Patrick?
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to take it. Then this next one is about supply chain attacks and LLMs.
No way.
No way. Well, I mean, listen, so the LLMs, large language models like ChatGPT, and those can't be not susceptible to supply chain attacks. They get their supply chain from somewhere, right? So, so this is interesting. This one, actually, if you distill this down, this hack, this, according to the two sources we have, there's 6,000 LLM models right now that are susceptible to this particular attack. This attack is in the form of an RCE, so remote code execution. Mm-hmm. So very bad. And the way this works is a hacker can craft a prompt to an LLM. Let's call it like ChatGPT. Yeah. When the LLM processes that data, it's going to return back to the agent in a template. Right, because that's how they talk back and forth. In this particular case, this is a Jinja 2 template. And they're not sanitizing that data as it comes back. So the problem you run into here is what's called SSTI, which is a server-side template injection. For those of you who haven't played around with server-side template injections, first off, A, it's the new SQL injection, so you got to be careful.
Yeah.
B, let me distill that down to what it really is. If you ever go to a website, Carl, and you register, and they send you an email back, and it says, "Hello, Carl. Thanks for registering." Right?
Exactly. You are now confirmed.
Yeah, but it puts your name in there, Carl. Where did it get it? Well, it got it because you gave it to it.
Right.
So what if I say, instead of my name is Carl, I put, squirrely brace, percent username, percent close squirrely, close squirrely. And then I say that's my name.
Yeah.
And it'll return the name of the database user. Oh, well, hello, sysadmin. And you're like, okay, very cool. So that's just sort of a real quick example of server-side template injection, where I give it the tags the template is expecting. And the template then goes, oh, I should process this and figure out what's in here. Now it's possible for data leakage pretty easily, but it's also possible to execute code. Actually, just on a pen test we were working on this week, we had one issue where we could send emails. And in those emails, we decided to put in some tags, and we're able to get remote code execution in a reverse shell. The template that sends emails decided randomly to open up a shell to us on the internet.
Well,
so yeah, SSTI is pretty dangerous.
If you think about what SQL injection is, right? It's where, somebody's asking for your first name, your last name, your email. And like Dwayne said, for your first name or whatever, what if you put in some commands to drop the database, show all the tables or whatever. And if on the server side, that string, that SQL query is being concatenated with code and just put together willy-nilly and sent out to the SQL server, therein is a hack. And it occurs to me that, these large language models where language input is the input type, right? And it's like an injection waiting to happen.
Right.
So it has to be totally sanitized on the back end. And, these things are bound to happen.
Yeah. It's again, I sound like a brokered record. Templates provide convenience.
Yeah.
Convenience is basically the devil.
The enemy of security.
Yeah. It bedevils security almost at every turn, because convenience, it's puts you in the exact wrong mindset. And so if you want that convenience, you're going to have to earn it by locking it down, by parameterizing queries in SQL, or, we'll probably have some kind of parameterization that needs to happen to templates. This is the new frontier, as Dwayne indicated.
Yeah.
I think what we really need to do is start getting t-shirts made for security this week. With maybe our silhouette outlines, and above Patrick, it should just say,
it says shoot 'em.
It says shoot him. It says shoot him, or that.
It actually does. Yeah.
Yeah.
But all the phrases, convenience is the enemy of security.
Oh.
This
is awesome.
Dwayne should say, "Don't ever give me any information," because that will use it against you.
Is this your card? Dwayne should say, "Is this your card?
Is this your password?"
This your card?
How did he know my password?
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah, I think I mentioned this before. Remember Dilbert's mother in the Dilbert cartoons? Yeah. She, she said she was reading his email or something, and he's like, "Mom, I've got a firewall." She says, "Not much of a firewall."
Right? I think you should have is this your card? But instead of holding up a playing card, you have like an access card to a door. Is this your card?
Yeah. Is this your card?
All right. So should we talk about build and all the things?
How's that going
here? So first of all, I've never seen a keynote at Build that didn't have anything to do with coding in .NET. They talked about Python. They had about Java. They did not have anything in there about .NET. It's all AI.
Wow.
Microsoft is all in on AI, from GitHub Copilot, right, which you can use in Visual Studio Code to help you write code, to large language model creation, vector database creation on Cosmos.
It's not a bad bet.
You can create your own agents with basically a thing called Copilot Studio.
Yep.
And so they're showing all these great things that you can do on the first day keynote. And I don't know, I'm half excited and half terrified. And I'm half terrified because they're talking about all this, like, it's best thing since sliced bread and it's going to make your life so easier and blah, blah, blah. And it probably will.
Oh,
but
yeah.
a couple of things have solidified for me over the last week. Number one, any developer who is not taking advantage of a Copilot to help write code is crazy.
Yep.
I mean, these things are perfectly suited for spitting out code because guess what?
Yeah.
The compiler has to give it a thumbs up before it'll run.
Have you met a developer that's like, I don't use Google because I'm a purist?
Yeah. I don't use Stack Exchange.
That's the equivalent.
You use Stack Exchange.
It's right. And people are scared of it. And I'm here to say and you are not likely to be replaced by an AI, but you are likely to be replaced by a developer that uses AI.
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good analogy.
By AI, I'm using it as a general stupid term for Copilot and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Now, on the other side, the large language models and now the small language models, ones that you can create with your own data and blah, blah, blah. Perfect if you want to, and Microsoft is bringing this to Windows, right? Just to be able to say, in my entire, scan my entire ecosystem and tell me, it's like the ultimate Google
personal
search
assistant.
for for your data, for everything about your data. And we don't have to make OLAP cubes and create crazy queries. We can just ask the system for things.
Cubes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Wait, how old are we?
Yeah. The 90s called. They want their OLAP cube back.
They want their
Maybe it
OLAP
was the
cube back.
2000s. So,
wait, Patrick, what's OLAP stand for?
OLAP? Online
OLAP.
Analytical Processing?
I don't remember. I was
even
asking
remember.
you.
Yeah, online analytical processing.
Awesome.
Basically, it was a way to make three-dimensional models of data so that you could drill down into it. It's kind of the precursor to vector databases, which we're doing now. All right. So, but on the other hand, these models, you can't count on them to be accurate. And you can count on them to be accurate with code. And if it's not, who cares? You can just generate it again, try it again. The compiler has the last say. And, we find the last all the emails from my boss that had to do with such and such, like the ultimate Gmail search or whatever. Those are all good things. But these large language models lie sometimes. And the accuracy is not 99%.
No.
Some people have said it's as low as 60%.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you can't count on a large language model to give you language that's accurate 100% of the time, what good is it? So this is the thinking that I've been going through as I'm here.
Yes.
And then the second day, they came out and talked about the Azure AI as a service, and instead of they have other things in between what you would consider like a large language model like ChatGPT and the Azure layer, and one of them is this security layer. And they said, we're making sure that the data is accurate, that there's no hallucinations, and blah, blah, blah. And it sounds really good. And it made me feel a little comfortable for the time being, but it still requires vigilance on the part of anybody who's using it and taking the answers to complex questions, which supposedly it's genius and it can do that. Those answers need to be vetted by real people.
Yeah, I think that's the mistake. The mistake is to just assume and trust that it's an expert and it's it knows what it's doing and therefore I can trust it. That's the mistake. The mistake is to say
to be fooled.
It's a tool.
Yeah.
And tools need to be checked by people. They need to be backed up. So like I can do I guess the best analogy is I can do a Google search and I can find an article that will answer a question. But unless I need to validate that that's the right article because I can probably find an article that answers it a different way.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's important for us to keep that. Most people who understand how this technology works, no one's proposing we just get rid of the developers. At least not now, not in this version.
But soon, like the truck drivers.
Truck drivers didn't know that. You gave away the ghost. But it's another tool. It's like Google search. And I think the analogy of, a developer, I've met a couple of developers who felt they were purists, and they're like, I don't search Google for code examples or to solve problems. Then I'm not a good developer. And those people were good developers, but they fell by the wayside as far as I know. Maybe they, maybe they went on to great careers, but I never heard from them again. And I think that's a mistake. And I think the same thing is true of AI, not using it, but I think the same thing is true also of just trusting it. Like you went through that scenario, and it's probably worth reminding people, where you were trying to find a way to play a music clip in an infinite loop
in JavaScript
without delay.
Yeah.
Yep. And you went through like 8 interactions with the AI
iterations,
but you got iterations, but you got to a point where, yes, this does work, and you could objectively define that it did work, and it did help you to have that sounding board.
Yes, it's a great rubber duck at the very least. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I think that's the smart way, because just using AI, just taking a problem and applying the words AI to it is not a solution.
Yeah, correct.
No matter how much people think it is.
And any technology has never been a solution like that. You can't trust it 100%. You have to vet it, and it has to be looked over by, here's another thing
a qualified resource.
Yeah, a qualified resource is that, people make the excuse, well, I know people like that who hallucinate with the answers to things, and they talk bunk. And I said, yeah, but Uncle Joe I'm not going to put Uncle Joe in run my company,
Right.
It's not going to hire him as a CEO, whereas I don't trust him that much. Right.
Yeah.
All right. So that is the backdrop of this week. Now, I linked to a CRN.com article that's in 13 pages, and I linked to page 12. Microsoft Build 2024, the biggest news in AI, Copilots, Data, and Security by Wade Tyler Millward, May 21st. Now, page 12, security updates, and I just want to read these 3 paragraphs. Microsoft has upgraded Defender for Cloud to protect AI apps from code to cloud, according to the tech giant. The tool has AI security posture management features for finding AI services, AI tools, and vulnerabilities. Defender for Cloud has a native integration with Azure AI Content Safety. All right, so that's a new thing. So teams can monitor Azure OpenAI apps for direct and indirect prompt injection attacks, sensitive data leaks, and other threats, according to Microsoft. A preview for Copilot Trust Platform is coming later this year, according to Microsoft. Users will have the ability to enforce enterprise data protection, scale inference and retrieval across enterprise data and app estates, and run responsible AI checks.
Ooh.
All right, so that's 3 paragraphs from, the security efforts that they're doing around AI. Then I found this on the same day, May 21st, from Yahoo Finance. It's an article. Hidden Layer, which is a company, collaborates with Microsoft Azure AI to enhance model security. So Hidden Layer, the leading security provider for artificial intelligence AI models and assets, today announced Microsoft Azure AI is a new user of its Model Scanner. The Model Scanner will scan third-party and open-source models in the model collection used by Azure, curated by Azure AI, providing verification they are free from cybersecurity vulnerabilities, malware, and other signs of tampering. So there you go. That may be the whole, product behind their security layer in AI.
Well, that's neat.
I think that's positive. I wouldn't bet the bank on it.
Yeah, me either. I like the fact that they're thinking about it and they're trying to do something about it, but there are still, no matter how many holes you plug, there are still going to be issues.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And there's going to be I love Microsoft. I've had great experience with them, but there's going to be some boundary where they're like, oh no, that's not our problem. That's your problem.
Yeah.
And they're not going to disclose that ahead of time. We're going to figure that out after they say, oh no, that's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Speaking from experience. Yep.
We'll see. It's encouraging that they're even thinking about it. I mean, they have to address the issue. Even if it doesn't work, they have to address the issue publicly to give people the confidence that.
Are there any issues? Foreshadowing. Are there any issues with AI models that
We'll find out. Let's revisit that next year at this time, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how that went.
Or we could just go on to our next story.
Which we'll talk about next week. But for now, I think that's it, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks. Always great talking to you guys.
Solid week. Enjoy.
Yep, solid.
Travel safely.
All right, I'll see you back in New England next week.
Sweet.
Bye-bye.
Oh, safe travels.
Yeah.